Hi there, this is Joanne from TrueAuthenticPower.com from Tapping.me, and I'm also the creator of the program Catapulting to Confidence. The topic today is, did you learn self-sufficiency under fire? And what do I mean by that? You know, self-sufficiency can be a really great thing, and a lot of us become that way because something happened before the age of 7 that was kind of under fire. So we learned we were on our own. It's up to me. Nobody's going to help me. I'm too scared of them to ask for help. They're not approachable. All those kind of things, right up to the extreme of abuse and horrific things that you might have seen. Self-sufficiency is a wonderful thing. Not necessarily is it so great when you learn it under fire, which I think a lot of people do. So I want to give you some insight to that because it may explain why you do some of the things you do, why you can't stop doing some of the things that you do, and how you can change that. If you grew up in an environment that was tumultuous at home, full of turmoil of some kind, whether it be ignoring you, really being harsh with you, seeing things that maybe some other people went through. For me, it was, my mother was a very tired mom, and I'm not going to go into the details of that. Just suffice it to say, I understand it completely now, which I didn't as a little girl. Until I learned about energy, I didn't understand half of what was going on when I was growing up in the early stages or even in the not so early stages. Back to the story though. Suffice it to say that my mom was a tired mom. My sisters were very much in competition with each other, and when there was anger, it didn't feel safe. I'll just suffice it and leave it at that too, because you don't need details. I'll just tell you how it made me feel. So then I get to school, and if you saw pictures of me before school, around the age of 4, because I started just before I turned 5. If you saw pictures of me in my earliest years before school, I looked confident, I looked calm, everything was still copacetic. I hadn't had enough buildup yet to make me fearful or nervous about the world or who I was or being who I was. I was very much loved to be on the phone. Some things haven't changed. I still do that. You can talk to anybody who knows me. And I was very, in the pictures, looked very vibrant, but I was also very sensitive because there are pictures that show that as well. I was getting a clear picture looking back at who I really was. So then I get to school, and my first grade teacher, my kindergarten teacher, she was lovely. But first grade was a whole different story. She threatened. She used to hit children with a ruler if you screwed up. So what do you learn when you're under fire? I can't go to her for help. She's not safe. Watch your back. Watch what you're doing. That I have to learn before I even know what the heck I'm doing, because if it comes out wrong, you get punished. It's unwise to speak up. It taught me about having some low expectations from being helped by other people. It didn't matter who they were. These are all the convoluted things. And I've talked about this in some other audio videos where I'm talking about the negative MEEPs, which I coined. The modeling before the age of 7, whether it was conscious or well, it's unconscious before the age of 7, but whether it's in home or family or outside sources or school, wherever you saw things modeled or shown to you what life looks like, that's what you take on. Negative MEEPs, modeling before the age of 7. E, emotions that get stuck. E, from emotional events. P, that develop into patterns. S, that then develop the story that you assumed and took on through those episodes. It's when our energy gets skewed or interrupted, or there's a glitch from some event or some modeling or some emotions, or that develops, you get the idea, that develops into a pattern that then creates the story that you learned with your little mind when those things happened. So what did it do to me? It killed off my spontaneous joy. It killed off my brilliance, because now I'm afraid to engage. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't a stupid girl, but it made me feel as if I'm stupid if I don't know how to get it out of the gate, and I will be punished. So there are consequences, big consequences, for not learning and knowing how to do things. Can you see how that would stifle a person's brilliance and the effects of easy learning that could be so gigantically different, it wasn't that way for me. I went into cover. My ability to be able to learn with safety and joy was stymied and stifled. It put me into hiding because now I didn't want you to call on me. I didn't want to read out loud. I didn't want to do any of those things that would put me on the spot because I've learned, watch your back. And if you don't know how to do it right out of the gate, there will be punishment. So hide. At all costs, hide. And I remember sitting in future grades in school to kind of slump behind the people in front of me. Please don't call on me. I was scared to death. I would get nervous hands and, sweaty palms and heartbeat. And I would go into a PTSD response from that first grade and all that I learned. All of that wasn't conscious. You don't know how to turn it around when you're a little kid. You may not even know how to turn it around as an adult. But my point of telling you the series of events is so that you can start to see what's got you glitched and why you might be fighting forces about being self-sufficient when actually, if you had learned it in grace and ease, self-sufficiency is a wonderful thing because you figure things out and you can listen to your gut and your own instincts. So back to the story. What did this do to me physically? Well, is it any wonder that I developed issues with my tonsils? I'm in a place where you can't talk. You're afraid to talk. I'm talking school. You're afraid to talk. You're afraid to engage. And all that energy center gets backed up. That throat energy chakra, energy center, gets backed up and locked up because it can't express. It's not free to have it flow from that energy center, which is your voice, explaining, talking, being who you are, being playful, silly, laughing, all that kind of stuff. That wasn't allowed in the school that I grew up in. Is it any wonder that I developed issues with my tonsils? Not to me, because that's how the body will start to show signals of what's getting stuck. Is it any surprise that I ended up wearing glasses? No, not to me, because glasses they're in an energy channel of the liver, so they can represent some anger or frustration, resentment. They can also be of, I don't want to see what's going on. Please don't. I just don't want to see what's going on. These things can have multiple reasons and they get locked into your energy. And when symptoms show up, it's our body's way to say, wait, hold it. There's something going on here. But who's taught how to do all this? Nobody. When we're kids, there's no manual. There's no manual for parents to understand all that. That's why I do these audio videos. So what else did I learn to expect? To look out for the worst. When you are in a state of checking for safety, hypervigilant, watching your back, don't say the wrong thing, don't do the wrong thing, watch out, you don't want to get into trouble. You are not in a creative mode. You are not in a free energy flowing mode. You're in a restriction. You're in a fearful. You're in a please don't hurt me mode. That interrupts energy flow to be easy and effortless, and for something like self-sufficiency to be a good thing to learn, for learning to be a good thing to learn, for being free and easy when you're learning is a good thing. But not when you've had some of this kind of stuff going on. It totally gets skewed. The energy gets all misguided, and these things come out sideways. I was petrified of learning. I hated school. I went through and completed 4 years of college, but I hated it. I never engaged in fun with it because that's not the anchor that I had to school. There is still a part of me that when people talk about how great their school years were, there's a part of me that's still very envious. Yes, you can tap on that too. I use EFT tapping. But let's face it, when you get into adult ages, there are priority things that you want to tap on. But you can tap on eyesight, and you can tap on if you have issues with your throat or you get locked up or your voice doesn't want to come out. You can tap on those kind of things too. But here's another thing that starts to happen. That's when addictions can start. Mine has always been a sugar thing. And it helped me feel good in the moment and shut down the fears of having to go back to school. And I wasn't consciously aware of all this, by the way. But the fears of having to go back to school every day And now that is anchored to watch your back, don't screw up, you might get punished, it'll be detrimental. All that fear and nervousness was the undercurrent that I was living with, that a lot of people live with, that they don't even know is there. That's why I do these kind of info audios, because once you realize where things start and why they hang on, you don't even know they're there. So how can you fix them? My little sneaking sugar, a cookie here and there, a little couple spoonfuls of ice cream when I was bored, when I was lonely, when I was scared. Yep, that absolutely started to shut down the inner pain and the nervousness that I was feeling. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but everybody goes to something that will shut down the pain when it gets to be too much and you can't cope with it. I learned to watch my back. It was such an uncomfortable learning experience. Now that I know about energy, now that I know about how things get stuck, now that I've become an expert in my mind, at least, well, my clients would tell you that too, because I get results. Now understanding all those things that are going on underneath. I don't do just tapping videos to guide you along. I like to do educational things to explain to you why those things that hang us up, that glitch our energy, that interrupt our flow, why they started, and what the messages were, what story we create with our little minds to say, oh, you know what, I'm just not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. They're so much smarter than I am. I'll never measure up. I'll never be anything. Those are the kind of things that we link from these kind of episodes. I personally did not have an abusive childhood. Yes, there were things my parents could have done better. Yes, there were things my siblings, if they hadn't done, I would have been better off not seeing or knowing. But it wasn't horrific. It wasn't horrendous. For the most part, it was not a bad situation. Pockets, yes. But this thing about going out in the world, out of my safety zone of my house, to being punished for not knowing something, isn't that exactly why the teacher is there? She was supposed to show me how to do it. And if I have trouble, she's supposed to be there to help. So when that doesn't happen, I learned to be self-sufficient, but it wasn't with ease. It wasn't with playful joy of loving to learn and loving to find out. I learned and found things out until I could change some of these beliefs by, I've got to figure this situation out. I've got to figure these situations out. I didn't learn just for the joy of learning. And for those people who can learn just for the joy of learning, that is such a gift, because your world can be so enhanced when you learn, when you engage in that way of finding out things that you don't know and how fun that can be. I hope this helps to explain some of what might be going on with you. I did another video a while back about feeling stupid, and that kind of ties into this, but I didn't go into as much detail as maybe how some of these glitches might have happened, with a little bit more detail about how the body will start giving you physical ailments. That's another thing. People so discount physical ailments. And when those show up, I know there's something going on with a client. When they come to me and some of these kind of things like throat issues or tonsil issues or ailments with your eyesight or your hearing or whatever, there are clues there. And if you know how to rework your energy and remove the beliefs and the blocks that you heard, that you picked up, that you got from just observing, from modeling emotions, emotional upsets, patterns, and then the story that forms, you can start to use those energy tools, something like EFT tapping. If you know how to get to the root of things, it's amazing how effective this tool can be. And when you can't do it on your own, please don't think it's because you're incapable. I consider myself an expert, and there have been plenty of times that I turn to other energy people, and it's always energy people that I turn to in one form or another. My point of telling you that is I consider myself an expert at finding the roots for clients. But when I'm stuck, there is something that happens that protects you from going near that pain, from going near those emotions, from digging in and finding out what the heck is really going on underneath. But man, it can be life-changing. Not only for physical symptoms, but emotional things, beliefs that you've made up. It can reverse all those things that I talk about with the MEEPs. The incorrect learning that you learn through osmosis when you're just a little child. The emotion and emotional upsets that glitched your energy, those can be turned around if you know how to do it and you know how to get to those root causes, which takes skill and experience, which by now I have tons of both. But it also breaks the patterns. Because once you heal the glitches of the modeling, the emotions, and the emotional events, a lot of times you can retrain patterns in an easier way. Things like turning around your go-to to shove down the pain so you don't feel. Yes, that too. But it also breaks apart the story because now you can reframe because the grip of the fear and anxiety doesn't have such a hold on you and your energy and your belief system and keeping all those things of the negative MEEPs in place. When you start breaking apart those undercurrent energies that I've been discussing, a lot of things can start to change, including how you show up in the world, what kind of confidence you have. That's why I have a program called Catapulting to Confidence. These things can be broken apart if you know how to do it. But I think some people have gone to the oodles of YouTube videos that show tapping for this little glitch or that little glitch or this belief or that belief. But when you pull together the whole pattern, all the puzzle pieces, let's put it that way, you start to see the whole picture and the lights come on and the bells start ringing in your mind of, oh, that's why I do that, or oh, that's why I do that. And okay, now that I know what I'm doing, how the heck do I get rid of it? Energy, frequencies, something that will change the right and left brain of how it has linked on to those things and the associations that you have believed are absolutely true when probably they're not. So back to the original topic. Did you learn self-sufficiency under fire? A lot of people do. Doesn't mean it can't be changed. Doesn't mean it can't be changed to enhance your life, your health, your wealth, your love, your fulfillment, your joy. All of those things are side effects when you start getting your energy righted around. And I wanted to bring that to you in case you're having some blocks or issues to your desires. These are the hidden things that are underneath that nobody talks about or talks about enough or in enough detail, or if you haven't heard any of that kind of stuff, I should say. Now you're hearing more of the story, and it's that undercurrent. People are brilliant. They're smart. They're joyful as little children, but all these things can throw wrenches into your energy and teach you skewed views of life and living that then you go on thinking that's just the way I am. I'm stupid. I'm incapable. Wealth isn't for me. Love isn't for me. I'm unlovable. I can't do this. I can't do that. No, that's not necessarily true. And I want you to know that. I hope this helps. Have you had situations where this is making sense to you? Or have you had some of these things go on that now you're kind of connecting your dots? It's amazing when I'm in client sessions of how the light bulbs will come on and you can hear it, because I do mostly phone sessions on purpose for a reason. And I won't get into that here. I'll just say that's what I do. I do audio, not video. But the light bulbs, you can hear the lilt in their voice. You can hear the light bulbs coming on. Oh. And then we work to clear those things out. Have you had those kind of glitches? Can you relate to these things? Share a story. We're all learning about these things. I've been doing this since 2009, and I still work on some things that pop up because you can't undo everything all at the same time, especially if you've had big pockets that got locked and linked all at the same time. You do what shows up when you can, and the things that are screaming the biggest at you, to you, for you. And I hope this helps. Share it with other people. I really want more people to know about how energy works because, boy, the things that are on the internet of work hard and you have to suffer, and those are taught by so many people whose modeling was shown to be that way. That doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. But if that's what they learned, that's what they're teaching everybody else. That's not necessarily the case. Why can't it be easy? Why do you have to work skiddy at million hours? I just don't buy into that because I've seen the opposite. I know what can happen when you get your energy lined up, and then you can start to program in using your energy what you do want. I see a lot of people in abundance groups that are saying, how do I manifest $3,000 in 2 days? You got to clean up what's in the way first. Most of the time, a lot of the time, maybe not all the time, but a good portion of the time. So if your manifestation or your law of attraction isn't working for you, you've got to do some cleanup then, because you can be hitting that wall of, what the heck am I doing wrong? You might not be doing anything wrong, but if your energy is glitched, if the stories are in place, you're fighting forces that you've probably been fighting forever. And it doesn't have to be that way. My opinion, my experience, and with oodles of clients who have reversed what they thought was true as well. I hope this helps. Sign up, share this with other people, because I think the more people that know, the happier our environment will be, the fighting will stop, it's your fault, it's your reason that I can't do, be, or have. Yeah, that's the first step, but that's not where the solution is. Guarantee it. You'll be fighting forever if you think that works, because now you've got fighting against someone linked into your energy. And then if it works for you, you're going to be a fighter. You're going to be fighting forever. Really? Is that what you want to do? Is that who you want to be? Or do you want to clean up your own energy so that things start easing out and showing up in the way that you want? It's so much easier. I can't even tell you all the reasons why it's just so much better. At any rate, I hope this helps. And until our paths cross again next time, bye-bye for now.